Ever since we first saw Pierre-Auguste Renoir's Dance in the Country of 1883, we loved it and thought it was beautiful. Through our study of aesthetic realism, we are learning from it about ourselves and our marriage, and we're grateful to be studying the meaning of this great principle stated by Eli Siegel. All beauty is a making one of opposites, and the making one of opposites is what we are going after in ourselves.
Tonight, we speak about how in this painting, two pairs of opposites that are crucial in marriage, intimacy and width, assertion and yielding, are thrillingly one, and how through Renoir's technique, wives and husbands can learn what they are most hoping for. Studying it has made our own lives much richer.
1. The intimate and the wide. In Love and Reality, a chapter from Self and World, Eli Siegel writes,
quote, Jim Haskins marries Edith Ritchie. The object, Edith Ritchie, now becomes, as far as human law permits, the object, Jim Haskins. There is still, however, a third partner to the relation of Edith and Jim. That partner is the world as a whole. The purpose of love is to feel closely one with things as a whole.
In these great sentences, Mr. Siegel gives the scientific basis that can enable men and women to have love, the real thing, romantic and kind in their lives. We see Dance in the Country as beautifully affirming the meaning of those sentences by Mr. Siegel.
For example, in Renoir's painting, one of three he did on the theme of a couple dancing, as a man and woman embrace each other, you get a sense that they are part of an unlimited, rich world. The painting is about 6 feet high by only 3 feet wide, and the artist has filled nearly the entire canvas with the dancing couple. Yet we don't feel they are confined. There is a sense of intimacy and space at the same time. How does Renoir do this?
First of all, within this narrow vertical canvas, Renoir includes a chair and table, a railing, and another couple. Without these and many other details, leaves, fan, cup and spoon, the painting would lose its complexity and expansiveness.
We learn from aesthetic realism that this same relation of intimacy and rich relation is necessary in marriage. As we are close to another person, we have to feel the outside world has more meaning for us, not less. Both of us, in different ways, once felt, as people usually do, that love meant having someone make us the most important thing in the world, someone with whom we could make a special, private world apart from everything else.
We didn't know that this purpose makes true love impossible. We learned that whenever we use another person to have contempt for the rest of the world, make it dim and unimportant, we are stifling our own and another person's deepest hope, which aesthetic realism so greatly and kindly explains, to like the world as a whole.
This painting, like all art, refutes the narrow, contemptuous idea of love we unconsciously went by. For example, on all 4 sides, the painter hints at the presence of something and has it continue off the canvas. The leaves above, the table on the right, the hat below, and the faces of another couple on the mid-lower left. Each leads us to a wider world, and Renoir seems to have taken special delight in having the ruffled skirt of the dancing woman swirl off the canvas to the right. He also paints the curved railing behind the dancers in such a way that we feel the world does not begin or end with this couple, but continues on either side, and it takes in so much more.
Aesthetic realism teaches that there is a deep, permanent relation among all the aspects of reality through the opposites. Another thing that both educated and moved us was to see that the opposites in this couple, hard and soft, straight line and curve, horizontal and vertical, are the same opposites present in the world around them, making them, as Eli Siegel says, closely one with things as a whole. See how the white tablecloth, soft and energetic, meets the firm blue vertical table leg? This is related to the firmly drawn line of the man's blue suit, gently and yet crisply meeting the white folds of the woman's dress.
Jean Renoir, in the biography My Father Renoir, writes, quote, "His pictures are demonstrations of an overall unity. The backgrounds are as important as the foregrounds. It is an ensemble of elements which go to make one central theme, and they are bound together by a feeling of love which unites the difference between them," unquote. It is the artist's love for the oneness of opposites in every instance of the visible world that makes for the unity and success of a painting.
In an aesthetic realism consultation, I was asked, do you think there is too much of a separation in your mind between thoughts about love and everything else in the world? Do you want to use being in the arms of a man to get to unconscious bliss? I saw this is what I was after, and it was opposed to the true purpose of love and of art itself, to like the world. As we look at Dance in the Country, we can see in the way Renoir paints this young woman, whom critics have surmised is Aileen Charigot, Renoir's future wife, that she is not in unconscious bliss. She looks out at us as she is in the arms of a man. Her face is bright and lively, her eyes keen and gentle. Most women make the mistake of using a man's approval as a substitute for the world to feel that nothing else matters.
And a man can use a woman's approval in the same way. As this couple embrace and dance, the world doesn't disappear. On the contrary, we as spectators feel welcomed into this painting through her lovely gaze.
2, assertion and yielding. A situation present in marriage, and one that can cause a great deal of anger, is that each person wants his and her own way. I remember the first time I went to Bruce's apartment, I thought about how I would love to redecorate it my way. I began to read House and Garden and House Beautiful, and I couldn't seem to stop. When I mentioned this in a consultation, my consultant spoke to me about a mistake wives often make, managing and asserting myself without thinking respectfully about what would be best for my husband's life. I had a strategic plan to arrange a man and arrange a world to suit myself, which I could run. I am so fortunate to have heard questions in consultations that all women need to hear, like, do you think you're in a fight between being yielding and assertive? And they said, the beginning of deep care has to do with how much we want to learn from another person.
And I learned about my desire to manage a person when, after Lauren and I were married, I felt, as many men do, that now that she was my wife, I could manage her. In an aesthetic realism class, I was asked questions by the chairman of education, Ellen Reese, for which I will always be grateful. Miss Reese asked so kindly, what do you want more, your wife's honest respect, or to have her do what you want her to do? Do you want to feel now, I have a wife, or I have a chance to comprehend a woman deeply? You should see that your purpose in getting married is to encourage Lauren Phillips' soul, her mind, and her like of the world.
As this couple are dancing through form and color, they yield and assert at the same time in a way we are learning from. The contrast and closeness of the dark blue of his suit and the luminous pink and white of her dress is intensely exciting. That edge, the very center of the painting, as it goes up and down, also goes in and out. There seems to be the utmost in contrast and the utmost emerging at once.
He is asserting himself as one shape, and yet that shape, that body, is affected by her very different shape. dark colors recede and bright colors come forth. And his dark suit, even as it has the deep blue color of the quiet space behind them, is firm, and it brings out the strength in her form. Her bright shape seems to be more assertive, and yet it enhances his dark form. The relation of light and dark, brightness and depth bring out each other's power, as a man and a woman in their difference have to hope to bring out the strength of one another.
And we were moved to see how sameness and difference lovingly meet as their two shoes gently touch. Colors assert themselves and blend simultaneously throughout this painting. The bright light green of the leaves enhance the sky, though being somewhat the same and yet different. The way colors give way to each other does not make other colors less. On the contrary, each becomes more themselves. As two people are together, they can ask this critical question. As I am asserting myself, is it to bring out the best in this person, or is it to have my way and feel important?
Aesthetic realism, for the first time in history, enables men and women to learn there is a criterion for love and marriage that makes for the large, passionate, kind feelings that people are hoping for.
As two people, husband and wife, we feel immensely fortunate to be in the midst of studying in classes taught by Ellen Reese how the questions of marriage are aesthetic questions, and we believe Pierre-Auguste Renoir's Dance in the Country is a beautiful instance of how this is so.